Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's the first week in March, and as far as I'm concerned, that means March Madness has already begun, and we're going to kick off our March Madness coverage right now with returning guest Troy West from allplayswin.com. Some of you might remember Troy as being far and away the best handicapper in our football videos from this past football season, both in the NFL and college and bowl season, and at this point, I have a blankly trust Troy on any sport until he tells me not to trust him. Troy, thanks for being here with us.
Hey, I'm excited to be back, Pete. I felt like that was a winter vacation for us, but you know we've been rolling along with college hoops, and I'm excited to talk about March Madness tournament. As a lot of us, we haven't had an opportunity to speak much on college hoops, but it's a sport that I cover extremely close, and I think I do things a little bit different than most handicappers out there. So I'm real excited to talk about the upcoming tournament.
All right, well, that all sounds great to me. So our first segment here, we're going to cover teams that might be a good bet in March Madness, and that could be either against their spreads in the postseason. It could mean that they're going to advance further in their tournaments than people are expecting them to. Just in general, teams that might be underrated and or undervalued in March Madness. Before we do, just give a plug for your website. Tell us what it is.
Allplayswin.com. We've been going strong now for about 6 years. We cover all sports, myself, and I've got about 13 to 15 co-workers that work real close with me. I don't cover all the sports, but if we got a guy that wants to play hockey, we bring on the right kind of guy to do the hockey. Adam Rototo's been doing a fantastic job in the NBA, along with BJ Brown. I focus mostly on NFL, college football, and college basketball. We bring on some guys that do some great stuff in baseball. We cover it all. We're a one-stop shop. 24/7 customer service. We're not your typical handicapping service that you got to sign up and you never hear from the cappers again. I speak with clients all day long. We're real proud about what we do. I encourage your customers out there to come take a look. It's very different than your typical handicapping site.
All right, well, all I can say is that your record in our football videos this year in college and NFL and bowl season was and the playoffs was phenomenal and very impressive. So if you're anything close to that in college basketball, we'll be very happy with what you have to say here. All right, let's start out with some of these teams that might have some value in the postseason. I'm assuming that a lot of these teams that you're going to identify are going to be from the mid-major conferences. Give us one or two to start.
You know, this team's got to make the tournament first, but right. I think if they do make the tournament, they can make a push. Last year they made the tournament. That's South Dakota State out of the Summit Conference. South Dakota State's got the best point guard in the country, in my opinion, Nate Wolters. People probably finally started hearing his name when he put up 53 a couple weeks ago. This is a good team. This is a really good basketball team. This is a team we follow all year long. This is a team that I got to watch play quite a bit live last year, and we followed them into the tournament last year. Last year they opened up against Baylor as an 8-point underdog and covered in that game. Played them tough. I think if they wouldn't have gotten that Baylor draw, they could have made a run. Again, they have to make it first because they got to win their conference tournament to get in. Yeah. But South Dakota State earlier this year, listen to this stat, a 17-point underdog at New Mexico. New Mexico's undefeated at the time. South Dakota State goes in and beats them outright by 5 points. So that's a team to look out for. I still love St. Mary's. St. Mary's is a team that WCC conference I think is a little bit undervalued. You know, you got to play Gonzaga twice. You got to play BYU twice. Santa Clara is no slouch. And St. Mary's looked really, really good against Creighton the other night. They're another team I'd look out for. I think St. Mary's with the right draw can make a run. And I think they're a lock for the tournament at this point.
Gonzaga, who comes from the same conference, they're now ranked number 1 in the country. They're 16-11-2 against the spread on the year. What do you make of Gonzaga being ranked number 1? What do you make of their postseason prospects?
Gonzaga's the real deal, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but to me, they're the most balanced team in the country. You look at their 2 losses, they lose to Illinois. If anybody watched that game, Illinois wouldn't have lost to anybody that night. They shot the absolute lights out of the gym. And then they lose to Butler at Butler. Again, that was one of the most flukiest games in the history of college basketball where Gonzaga's got the lead, got the ball with 5 seconds left, and they throw the ball away and Butler hits a buzzer beater. So realistically, Gonzaga could be undefeated. They didn't necessarily play a cupcake non-conference.
Sure.
I think Gonzaga, to me, is the number 1 team in the country.
Really?
They can be beaten. They can be beaten on any given night. Illinois proved that when they went into Gonzaga and shot the lights out. But to me, they are the favorite.
All right, Troy, so now what I'd like to do is pick your brain on some of the other leading teams in some of these mid-major conferences, see what you have to say about them. Can I do that, Troy? Can I pick your
Absolutely,
brain?
absolutely.
Okay, excellent, excellent. We're going to pick Troy West's brain right now. Some of these teams, all right, let's start with Davidson. Obviously a perennial mid-major powerhouse. This year, though, you know, the market caught up to Davidson a while ago, only 14-14 against the spread on the year. What do you make of Davidson?
Davidson's one of those teams, again, they've been kind of the roller coaster ride this year. You don't really know what you're going to get out of them. They seem to live or die a lot by the three ball. Those aren't teams that I like to bet a whole lot, especially you get in the tournament. You get teams that want to play a real solid man-to-man defense. Davidson would be a team I'd probably stay away from just based off of that. I don't like to bet a team that's going to sit out on the arc and hope to cash in threes. There can be some value in it because they can pull off that upset,
Right.
but to me it becomes really unpredictable on what Davidson team's going to show up. Like you said, 14-14 against the spread, very unpredictable to me. They'd be a team that I'd probably stay away from in the tournament.
Okay, all right. And then what about Akron? Akron, of course, comes from the MAC, and last year, anyone who picked Ohio to go deep in their brackets probably did very well in their contests. And this year, Akron is the class of the MAC, and they've been 13-9-1 against the spread on the year, and they've got a great record. What do you think? You think Akron might be a Sweet 16 or even an Elite 8 team with value this year?
You know what's funny, Pete? You hit it right on the nose, and I think they are. This was a game that our company watched extremely close. We followed North Dakota State really closely, and they're another team that could possibly sneak in and win that Summit Conference. And one of the bracket buster games last week was North Dakota State. It was a 7-point underdog going into Akron, and I said, let's keep an eye on this game. I don't necessarily want to bet it, but let's find out if Akron's the real deal. And Akron beat them and covered. And that says a lot to me because I've seen North Dakota State play a few times this year, and they're a phenomenal basketball team. Akron's really well balanced. They got a great point guard, good shooters, good post play. Akron would be a team that if there's some value in that line, they would be a team that I could see making a serious run. I think you hit it on the nose, Pete. I like Akron would be a team to keep an eye on.
And then another team that I'm looking at, that I'm thinking about, St. Louis. You know, they are ranked right now. They've gone 17-9 against the spread on the year, and they've covered 11 in a row now. I'm thinking St. Louis might be another Akron-type team that might be, you know, have good value as a bet going to the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8.
You know, St. Louis is an interesting team to me because I had the opportunity to watch them play up here in Washington. They played Washington up here, and I wasn't impressed at the time. They played rat ball. Washington, to me, is not a very good basketball team this year, and St. Louis struggled with them. They like to play a little bit of rat ball, so if you get them up against a team that's extremely disciplined, plays good man-to-man defense, I'd probably stay away from St. Louis based off what I saw earlier in the year. But the numbers don't lie. They're playing really good basketball right now. They're hot. Again, I'd see who they're matched up against. If they're matched up against a team that they're much more athletic than, I think you got to roll with St. Louis. They can put up points in a hurry. But if they're playing a team that's a little bit more well-disciplined, I would stay away from them because the team I saw play rat ball up here in Washington was not a very good basketball team.
Great opening thoughts. Troy West, of course, you know, we're just thinking about these things right now. We don't know the matchups. We don't even know how the conference championships are going to go, and we don't know, obviously, what the lines are going to be. But we will revisit this later. Let's move on to what teams you think might be overvalued in postseason play, okay?
You got it.